There is this one thing that is always under your control, regardless of your situation in life. Just imagine, whatever might be happening in your life, the quality of your life in that particular situation depends upon the meaning that you're giving to that event and your response towards that event. So, the one thing that is always under your control is your response to the situation that is being presented to you. For example, let's say that two people are encountering the exact same life situation. In this case, is it possible for these two different people to respond in two totally different ways? Yes, obviously, right? So, even though these two people are being encountered with the same life situation, if these two people respond in two different ways, these two people will get two totally different results. And this is the concept that we are going to be discussing about in this video. So, we are going to be talking about the power of responding and how to tap into this power and enjoy its benefits by exercising this power. Firstly, you might be wondering, am I not already responding to every situation of my life? What's the big deal about this responding thing? See, here's the thing. Response can be of two types. One is unconscious response and two is conscious response. Unconscious response is your reaction, that is, your automatic mode of replying. If you look at the word reaction, it is reaction, where you're repeating the actions that you've done in the past or you're repeating the actions of others. For example, some people might think that there is just one possible response for a particular life situation, whereas conscious response is about taking responsibility and making conscious choices about how you choose to respond to a situation. In conscious response, you are aware that you have a choice in the first place. In unconscious response, people think that there is just one possible response for that particular life situation. To understand this concept better, let's use an example. Let's say that this is person A and this is you. And this person A is saying some potentially hurtful things to you. Now, if you're unconsciously reacting to the situation, you will be like, oh, if this person is telling me some hurtful things, then obviously I will get hurt. If you hurt me, I will obviously get hurt. Here, there is a thought that there is no other possible responses except this. If you hurt me, obviously I will get hurt. This is a place where you think that there is no choice. But this is not true. In every situation in life, you have a choice. If you were to consciously respond to this situation, then what will happen? If you are conscious about what is happening in the situation, you will not get hurt. For example, when you find someone who is saying some potentially hurtful things to you, you will be able to see that this person is saying this because they are in pain. Only a person who is in pain will say hurtful things to others. Hurt people, right? So, if a person is not already in pain, they will not hurt other people. So, when you find someone saying hurtful things to others, realize that they are in pain. That's why they are saying such things. When you realize and understand why a a person does what they do, then firstly, you will not get hurt. And by doing this, your inner peace is protected. And secondly, you realize that you have a choice. You can either choose to get hurt or you can radiate healing vibrations to the other person who is in pain. When you unconsciously react, the response would be, I will obviously get hurt. But when you consciously respond to the situation and try to understand why the person is behaving the way they are doing, then it helps to protect your inner peace and also help the other person heal. See, if you just imagine, if person A says hurtful things to person B and this person B gets hurt, then this is simply a vicious cycle of getting hurt. So, how do you even break this cycle of getting hurt? The only way to break this cycle of getting hurt is by consciously responding to this situation. It's a win-win situation here. Regardless of other people's behaviors, you're able to protect your inner peace and also the vicious cycle of getting hurt is broken. So till now, we've discussed the power of responding in terms of relationships and conversations with one another. And next, we are going to look at the power of responding in terms of habit. Let's say that you have this habit of scrolling through your phone during your break times. If you just look at this habit, do you think that this habit is being done in automatic mode or is it a conscious choice? Will anybody consciously choose to scroll through their phones even during a short break time? If you were to ask someone, how would you like to spend your break times? The last thing they would say is mindless scrolling. But why is it so prevalent and almost everybody does it? Because we normally tend to slip into the automatic way of doing things. If we don't have a strong and conscious decision in place, then it's very easy to slip into the automatic way of doing things. For example, you might know that you don't want to be mindlessly scrolling during your break times. But yet, why do you find yourself doing that? Because it has become a habit. If you were to consciously respond to this situation, first, you can start by deciding what you want to do as a replacement for this mindless scrolling. For example, during my break times, I like to close my eyes and sit in silence for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I find that this works for me well and it's relaxing and refreshing. So likewise, choose an activity that you find relaxing and refreshing to do during your break times. Even if you've decided what you want to do instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone, when it's finally break time, you might find your hand reaching out for your phone. That is because it's simply habituated to it. What you have to do in this situation is say no to yourself and control yourself using willpower for the first few times. If you control yourself for the first few times, then eventually momentum will take over and things will start becoming easier and easier. Initially, for the first few times, it might be difficult to resist. But if you just cross this hurdle, you will feel good about yourself that you're able to do what you said that you would. And this will increase your confidence in yourself and it will get you motivated to be strong and follow through your decision. And also, since you felt good about yourself, your willpower will increase and slowly be able to adapt to your new patterns of spending your break times. When you look at things at its core, breaking a habit is about whether you think it's possible or not. If you think you cannot, there is just no change possible and your journey just ends there. But if you think it's possible, a world of opportunities will open up. Similar to the example that we just discussed about, at every moment in life, we are presented with multiple choices. And the choice that we make every moment is what shapes our lives. It feels like that it's hard to change, but it's only the thought that you cannot that is stopping you. It is before you jump into action that things feel the most difficult. That is when it's time to execute and not when it's in the planning phase. But once you jump, you will realize that it is possible for you to do anything. It feels like that it's hard to change, but it's actually your mind tricking you that it's hard. It is the decision to jump into action which is more difficult than the actual action itself. Because once you get into action, you will soon get into a flow state and you will work comfortably. Just remember that the mind makes everything look hard, but actually it's not. You will realize that when you actually get into action. Yes, some habits might be very challenging to create, but it would definitely not be as hard as you thought it would be. To experience this for yourself, choose a task that you think is very hard or impossible, and just go ahead and do it. You will realize that before doing the actual task, your mind will make you feel that it's very difficult, but when you're actually doing the real work, it won't be so difficult. Another point to note here is that after you make a new decision, try to implement it right away. Because after making this new decision, for the first one or two times, if you say, okay, I'll start from next time, then from the third time, you will forget that you even made this new decision and fall back to your old habits. This has happened to me quite a few times. I would make a new decision and I'll be like, okay, I'll start this from tomorrow for like 2 to 3 days. Then from the fourth day, I forget about this new plan. So, implementing a new decision immediately is very important. It's really just about doing your new habit for the first few times using willpower. Soon, momentum will take over and it will start feeling easy. Also, by implementing immediately, you're preventing yourself from getting anxious of having to remember to start something new tomorrow. It's like waiting to implement your new idea. There is so much of anxiety involved if you wait to start working on that new idea. Whereas, if you just started right away, you'll feel so much lighter. Next, let's look at how generally in life, the unconscious response and conscious response play a role. In unconscious response, if you keep doing the same things, you will keep getting the same results. When you keep getting the same results, there is a possibility that you might think that you are fated to live this way. But it's not true. If you're getting the same results, it's because of the choices and responses you're making in your life. So, if you want to create the life that you truly want to live, then you can do so by taking full responsibility and by consciously making your choices wisely. If this is your current situation and this is your dream life, regardless of what your current situation is, it is definitely possible for you to create your dream life. But here's the thing. Your current situation can only be changed by changing your attitude and by changing your way that you're responding towards that situation. If you react the way that you've always reacted, then the same situations will repeat. If you keep saying, if the situation changes, then I will change, then this is not going to happen. Only if you change first, then the situation will follow. It cannot be the other way around. This is because your situation represents your outer world and your response represents your inner world. Without your inner world changing, your outer world cannot change. Reality is a mirror. Your outer world can only change if your inner world changes. The best way to change your outer world is to change your inner world first. This is because when you focus on your inner world and change your inner world according to the way you want your outer world to be, your outer world will naturally change. Instead, if you try to change your outer world first without changing your inner world, it is going to be a huge struggle and the results won't be sustainable. So, to make sure that your results are effortless and sustainable, you have to change your inner world first. Let's suppose that you're not happy with your current body weight. And your current body weight is a result of your unconscious choices regarding eating and your exercise patterns. Now, in this case, what can be done? Here, the body weight is an example for an external situation, that is your outer world. Now, how can you change your inner world first to change your outer world? Changing your inner world is about changing the way you think, feel, and act. When you align the way you think, feel, and act to correspond with the situation that you would like to see outside, then the change will occur. For example, in this case, where you're not happy with your body weight, the internal change that you can bring about is by thinking, feeling, and acting like a person who is happy with their body weight would. And this is consciously responding. Whereas if you say, I want to do the things that I always did, but I want to see a change, then this is not the way how things work. Next, let's look deeper about why people fall into these unconscious responding patterns. When you're unconsciously responding and you're in the automatic mode, then you will get the same results and there will be no change. Even though this no change situation is undesirable, this is a familiar experience. Since it is a familiar experience, it feels safe. However, while consciously responding, you will get different results and there will be changes. Although this change might be a desirable one, it is an unfamiliar situation. It is something that you have not experienced before. So, even though this unfamiliar situation is something that you've dreamed of, when you experience it, it will feel uncomfortable. This uncomfortable feeling comes when you're both experiencing the results of your conscious response and also when you're responding consciously. So this feeling is present in both your effort phase and your results phase. This is why people are rather choosing to be in the automatic mode and stay in the familiar zone instead of consciously responding and creating the things that they really want to create in their lives. So, the solution to choosing conscious response over unconscious response is by being comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Because growth requires change, and change requires conscious responding. Also, when you respond consciously, you will be aware of what works and what doesn't, what you like, what you dislike. So, this awareness about yourself will help you make wiser choices in the future. It will help you know yourself better. Making conscious choices can be scary and uncomfortable because it is requiring us to move out of our comfort zone and step into the uncertainty. But if you just think, it is those times when you made conscious choices that were the most memorable days of your life. Will you remember a day which was like every other day, or will you remember a day when you took up a challenge and did something great? If you think you cannot change, then nothing can be done. But if you think you can, make a conscious choice and commit to your decision. Anything is possible. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you found a lot of value in this video. If you did find this video useful, subscribe to this channel to learn to empower yourself and create the life that you truly want to live.